Well, hello everyone. Don Garman and Jackson Vickers here again. Here we are, June of 2026. In addition to us, who you have seen frequently, we have a special guest, Amber Ottersen,
Hey.
who most of you would say needs no introduction, but some of you don't get a chance to come in as often or are not maybe as familiar with her face as others of you are. Amber, welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for checking in with us. And why you're here will become a little more clear in a second. But before we get to you, our very esteemed guest, I thought it was a good time after May and the tone of our last video kind of coming through that last bit of the earnings season and marching into June, where I would say we are inclined to see some very wacky things in the next month, most of whom I hope we will file under the noise category. But many of you have heard there's a very large, very well-known, not yet public company becoming a public company in the next week and a half or so, SpaceX. And this is, if you're not familiar, and I bet you everybody who watches these on any interval are familiar with SpaceX, but it's one of Elon Musk's companies, in addition to uh, Tesla and the Boring Hole and countless other companies that he's started or invested in or runs at any point in time. XAI. Anyway, it's a very exciting offering, and it has certainly captured the interest and attention of many of you. And so I wanted to just spend a couple minutes commenting on that and what it means from our perspective, or I should just speak for myself from my perspective. Um, so SpaceX is an important company already because they have, I would say, pioneered or solved the reusability in rockets, and which enables and brings into the realm of possibility many things, including uh, data centers in space or prolonged human occupation of various parts of space. And so there is a lot of optimism and excitement about that. And a lot of the uh, science fiction applications have attracted attention and allows him to put massive size of market opportunities around this category and therefore claim that it would be valued or should be valued at a very high number. And so if I know this is getting jargony already, but they're talking about this company becoming a public company and being valued at give or take $1.8 trillion of value. So that's exciting unless we don't yet own it. And so for us, those have been, massive insider opportunities and huge institutions, and so they've raised a ton of capital so far, and they're getting ready to sell that to us at $1.8 trillion, and want us to be excited about that prospect. So that's exciting in many ways, involving humanity and our future prospects. As an investment opportunity at 1.8 trillion, it lacks the amount of excitement for me that would uh, put force me to push a whole bunch of chips into it. I would rather, at that price, see how it unfolds and how it trades, rather than be the person who's buying what they're selling me. Because an IPO is them selling us this stock and us buying it at that price. So that's another leap. To me, it's a bit of a bridge too far. However, I'm very interested and excited about the future of the company, as many of you are. And we will just take a bit of a wait and see, depending on how it prices and where it trades. You may well end up seeing that populate some of our strategies. Certainly, over time, if it's a great opportunity or there's a really good price to be had, that's more likely to be of interest to us than on the day one hysteria. Anytime these things are so well uh, written about and speculated about and talked about on every podcast, it's generally a little overhyped. It's like that great overfished pond. Anyway, time will tell. That's my perspective on it at this point. And then we have two other massive IPOs coming down the pike. The large language model companies that are no one knew what they were 3 years ago, and now they're running huge revenue run rates and growing super fast as we all tinker around and spend our tokens and figure out what use cases we're going to be able to develop to either offload work that we already do onto these things or write letters for us or do all the different things that we've all tinkered around with in terms of AI companies. But my point being, they're massive companies coming to market. So it's not it's not unusual to think that the people that like to own technology IPOs and feel they must own these very important, some might say vital future companies, will be taking money out of other companies to use that money to buy the new companies. And so that puts pressure on the last generation of these, must own companies that we all own. And so, I would just say in the next 30 to 60 days, put your earmuffs on relative to there will be all kinds of hyperbole around what we ought to do and what the inevitability of the next thing to happen is going to be. I take all of that with a grain of salt because by definition, apparently the only people who really know are the people betting on poly markets a day ahead of these events. And they're generally not coin flipping to get that information. They're getting it from a very close group of people who are in charge and disseminating that to their precious few crony pals. And I have no interest in being in that crew, although I'm sure making millions on Polymarket on a 1 day insider trading tip is attractive to a certain group of people. But we will do very well not having to be in that group of people. That's my own perspective. Jackson, do you have anything? I'll let Amber not have to wade into that hornet's nest conversation. Jackson, you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, so I'm interested in two particular things as it relates to SpaceX. One is SpaceX ownership in Colossus, the two largest data centers in the country, and how they're currently using that compute is by leasing a large portion of it to, namely Anthropic, potentially also to Google. So that's where the majority of the revenue is coming from. Granted, the company is still not profitable. So how they operate as a public company using those data centers and how they monetize them is of interest to me. And then also the announced but not finalized, but maybe hypothetical deal with Cursor is of interest to me. And if you're not familiar with what Cursor does, do some research. It's a very cool company. It's essentially an integration tool used for AI coding. Um, Very fascinating company. And then the other two big IPOs are also equally fascinating, but I'm more curious to see what run rates look like on a revenue basis. If we can continue to grow exponentially despite being compute constrained,
Mhm.
and also without knowing the justification for future token spend. Our enterprise is going to continue to spend on tokens when we, in many cases, have not seen top line growth from any of them yet. So a lot of things to unwind before we start throwing a bunch of chips into the IPOs.
Super fair. So we'll leave that topic for now, and maybe we'll catch up on it next month when we at least have one of these to evaluate, and we will continue to monitor this situation closely. And now, Amber, on to our special guest. So, um, uh, how long have you been with us now? Is
Yeah,
it?
first, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. I've been
Yay.
with Mirador just over 4 years now.
4 years, my goodness.
Yeah.
And we're watching your kiddos grow up before our eyes, which is super fun to see.
Yes.
I pulled up an old photo of Emma when she was, let's see, how old was your baseball champ yesterday?
He's 9 years old.
Emma was 10, and I was like, my goodness, it all goes so fast. So,
Yeah.
uh, aside from your beautiful family and their growth, one thing that came through loud and clear and comes through to me nearly every week
Mhm.
is how you have really put together your ops team, and I see the training that you put into them, and I see how different people the ball gets passed around on a continuous basis. Clearly, this is something about your skill set that has translated into our client satisfaction. And I say that because through the surveys, which we just put out last week, the service function shined brightly in a way. I've of course looked to see people plotting our investment results and the uh, awesome quality of our monthly videos. But what comes through in reality is the personalized service that you deliver and your ops team delivers. So if you wouldn't mind, if you want to share whatever you want to about how you got to this place where this is your core skill set, and then how you've built out the team and kind of how you think about how you divvy up responsibilities among them. And so that our clients will know, hey, when I have an issue in this category, if Amber's not the right person, who else on the team might handle this? So I'll just let you handle that however you want to as a question.
Well, thank you. Yes. To say it starts from top down. You took a huge chance on me when I came in, wasn't in a finance background, brought me in, and you and Audrey taught me everything. So I think it really is a top down. I learned from you guys. And then we are fortunate we have the longevity of our team behind us. Two of our ops, Kylie and Blair, have been here over 3 years. Chris is going on almost 2 years now.
Amazing.
And so we've grown as a team. We all play off of each other really well. Everyone has kind of their own specialty, but we can all pick up where for anybody, which is really nice and helps with that flow. When, if someone's out, there's a vacation, there's anything that comes, that there's no miss happening is a big piece of that. When we're set up for the workflow for the day, it's just coming in and everyone knows what they go to and its priority and how we're going through the day, making sure everything is done for money movements, clients' needs, that anything in process is being checked on. Just really helps make sure that everything is flowing smoothly, and the communication with the clients is a huge piece of that, and letting them know what to expect, where it's at, if there's a delay, I think is a huge touch point opportunity that we take advantage of.
That's awesome. And I will say two things about you, one of which you probably will not want me to say, but the clients should hear. It's clear when you're talking to Amber how prepared and thorough and empathetic to your concerns. It's clear that comes through. What isn't so clear about Amber is sometimes when she gets off the phone with you, she will go to the person who is holding up the process or didn't do it right. That isn't necessarily under her control, and deliver some Amber style justice that I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of. So it's great that you have the ability to be the good cop and the bad cop all within one wonderful package. And so what you've brought to us and our clients can't be overstated. So I wanted everybody to see you and hear you. And I think if I have this right, as you build that team, you will necessarily, just the sheer number of clients and assets that we have the pleasure to work on now, that is a lot larger than it was a few years ago. Eventually, you will probably be running the team and perhaps involved with some client interactions and situations, but maybe not everyone as you have for the last, or I know you haven't been involved with everyone, but I think that's the natural evolution, right? You continue to keep your high standards that permeate the team and help you train and bring on the next crew of Ambers, if that be a way of saying it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sound right?
Look forward to that. Yes. And yeah, expanding the team as we continue to expand and making sure that we have the procedures in place, that as we come on, we have that room to grow. And I think we are in a perfect spot for that, and getting close to, I think, bringing on another teammate potentially.
I think that's exactly right. And I'll look forward to that. And so while I'm bragging on everybody, Jackson has also had an outstanding year, both on the investment side and the strategy that he runs. I wish I had more of that than I do, but I'm grateful for what I have. Not even something I would have said a year ago, but you've had an outstanding year. So if you're interested in an aggressive strategy and one that is a thoughtful approach to how an aggressive strategy ought to be built. I can say comfortably that Jackson's MAGS strategy, the aggressive growth strategy, has been a wonderful tool. And now the longer term track record is even starting to look excellent after you've rebuilt it. That's awesome. And a check mark to the rest of the advisors on the team. This has been a year where people have, the referrals have been steady. The different advisors are each doing, great work, and they're being rewarded for that by getting referrals from the clients that they're primarily in charge of. So it's been a great flywheel. And then, we've still got the old dogs around here. Audrey and I shouldn't call either of us dogs, but we're still hanging around, doing our best to stay relevant and in the game at all points along the way. So, any final words, Amber? You want to say anything?
No, thanks for having me. We're always available. If anyone needs anything, we are a phone call or email, text away, reach out, and we will be there to help.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's in the context of, we all are aware when we're being pushed into a bot environment and when we're asking a question that absolutely is not being contextualized properly and how frustrating that can be. You can count on Mirador being the last place where you will actually get a person who knows who you are. And when you say something about your family members, you won't get some blank stare or some rote response from us, because we actually know who you're talking about, which is certainly a point of pride for all of us. So thank you to you two. Very proud of you
Of
both.
course.
And
Thank
yes,
you.
and so we're in rolling blackout in my office, but that's on account of lack of movement. There we go. And then on that note, we will see you guys in July. That will be our 13th anniversary video, if you can believe it. And it's been a joy and a privilege. And you guys have provided the ability of our firm to grow. And we are going to continue to grow along with you. And as Amber said, add the teammates needed to keep us very well prepared for our next phase of growth. So on that note, happy June, everybody. Welcome summer, and we'll see you all next month.
Thanks.
Bye.